Hello, another video on Blue Steel, and this one will be covering Blue Steel ratios in deck. Why would I be playing a certain amount of cards, and why am I playing a certain amount of 4x, or why am I playing a certain amount of 2? Which I think is a really good question. It was requested in one of the comment sections, and thank you very much for the requests. If you got any more, please let me know, and I'll try and cover them when I can. So yeah, I'll sort of jump into it. I think with ratios, it also has to be noted about the style of game that Lorcana is compared to maybe another TCG. And that's from usually, okay, this is hopefully not going to sound so convoluted. Ratios in removal actions and songs and sort of tech cards, maybe let's put Tragic Beast in there as well. Um, there's quite an importance in that. And as I say, all of this comparing to a different TCG, if you come from one which has sideboarding, this might be confusing for you. If you've come from Pokemon, this will be probably fine for you because you're used to playing tech cards. Um, but if I'm going to go into a room and sort of try and make a prediction on what I'm going to play against, say I think there's going to be a lot of Ruby Sapphire and there's going to be a lot of mirrors. Might want to utilize more of the Hardhead Beast to take out quills and things like that. But on the flip side, if I'm playing into a room that I think there's going to be more of an RP or a green steel, I might want to include more Babooms in the list because I want to take out the Flins and Diablos. And that goes for pretty much all of the sort of tech cards. There are cards that are just locked into the deck, like Cogsworth, A Whole New World. I think Smee as well is pretty locked in. All the items, here, these are just going to be 4x because they're sort of the core of the deck. And then we have what I would refer to as the sort of flex spots, and we can try different things out. Um, yeah, but if you've come from Pokemon, this is a very common thing in that game. If a certain deck's doing very well, I always use this example is in the last, I think it's rotated out now, but there was a big popular deck called Mew VMAX, and it was really powerful and it was really hard to beat. And they printed a card called Drapion V that was just a really good counter to it. So everyone just threw a one-off in their deck for that card. Just because if they went, hey, I'm going to play into a lot of Mew and I really want to beat it, so I'll just play this one off in my deck. And that game has a lot more deck searching. I think that's really good. I think Lorcana needs to adopt deck searching as well because if we're going to go down the route of tech cards over sideboarding, I think we need to include more deck searching. But I won't go down that route. I won't go explaining that because this is about ratios. So yeah, as I said, I'll start with Tragic. Oh, not Tragic. It's Hardhead Beast. I'll start with him. Yeah, if you're going into a room and you expect a lot of Ruby Sapphire, you expect a lot of Blue Steel, or you just think in yourself, I struggle with that matchup. I want to get a bit of a heads up on it. I want to get a bit of a sort of leg up and do better at it. You might want to include this card because yeah, you can take out quills, you can take out dimes. It's very good. But over the weekend, I didn't play into any mirrors at all, and only played one Ruby Sapphire. And I can say the card hasn't really been pulling its weight. And into every other matchup, I still think a 4/4 that Quest for 2 is good, but that slot could be used for something else. So if I look at doing that, I might swap this out for a Tragic Beast, or maybe just go for a 1/1 Tragic and Hardhead. But yeah, that's sort of how ratios work, and I'm trying to get into explaining the idea of it. If you struggle with that matchup, or you think I really want to counter it because I think there's going to be a lot of it, you could include like two of these. I mean, you can go to three if you like, because you can say I just really want to be able to take out quills. But if you're playing into a room and there just isn't any items to break, it's sort of quite a dead card to include. I'll use Baboom as the next example. I was expecting a lot of green steel and a lot of red purple, which I think Baboom is quite useful in because you can take out Diablo and Flynn and stop those threats from happening. But into Ruby Sapphire, Baboom is fairly useless. There's really no targets for it at all in that deck. So we've kept that at 3. On the weekend, I played 4 Babooms, and that was really useful. But jumping onto another card that might explain my point a bit further, Let It Go is, I think, very good into Ruby Sapphire and to Blue Steel. But I was not playing any of them, so I just had one in there just as like an off chance that I might play one and I needed it. But if I was playing into a lot, I still think I could do well, but I also think I would need the tech card, so I think I would need 2 to 3 Let It Goes. So if you can sort of, what I'm trying to explain with the removal actions and the tech cards is you sort of want to ratio it out depending on what you expect to see in the room. If you think you're going to play a lot of Ruby Amethyst and cards that are low to the ground, play some more Babooms. You might even want to start including Hook. I mean, that's also as I keep jumping on a tangent, so I'll try not to. Yeah, you might want to include more Babooms because you think I want to be dealing with Flynns and Diablos. But if you think it's quite a blue room, you might want to play more Let It Goes, more item breakers, things like that. And you can go further. Sorry, that's just the tangent I was trying to go for. Um, if you think there's going to be very low to the ground, say like your locals is not a particularly competitive place, which is fine, but they play a lot of low to the ground stuff. They a lot of Maleficent one drops and Lilos. You might want to add in Captain Hook again, and that sort of goes on from why you see my Argus slot change to Brooms, Hooks to Argus again. It's because I'm sort of trying to predict what I'm playing into and what I think is quite popular right now. I can guarantee you RP is very popular after winning another regional as well. It is going to be a very strong deck that we're going to see lots of. So I think I'm sticking with Argus, but yeah, there was a lot of times this weekend where I thought Captain Hook would have been better because there was just a lot of low to the ground running stuff. Um, and why that's at a 2 and not a 4, I'll try and explain that as well. It's sort of room sometimes, and slowly things are going to shift down. I think 2 is fine because in theory all I want to do is I want to hit a one I want to hit an item on turn 1 and I have 8 chances to do that. On turn 2 I have 6 chances to play a character and plus 9 chances to actually do an action because I've got or actually do something because I've got Baboom and that could be my turn instead. And then turn 3 I want to hit the ramp and I want to Mickey and then from there I want to do other game plans. But consistently I want to always be playing an item, character or react and then I want to play a ramp card. So as long as I can make that more efficient, that's better. That's why I think 3 would be good if I could just find the room. I'll try and look at some other cards that are a little bit off, so I should go through them. Bella's always been good at 2. For a while, she was people's primary dime target, but I think Tamatoa and Ariel's not in here, but I think Forex Tamatoa and has just proven how much better they are as dime targets, which is a good ramp tool. She can give you 1 extra ink that can't ever be forgotten. So that's just yeah, she's really good. But 2 is fine. 3 feels a bit overkill. But if you were to say run a little lower to the ground and you just want to rush with 13 ink, set up dime, set up bail, take and then dime tap, you could play more of her. But I think 2 is fine. Um, I'm going to change covers the cards that probably you might commonly see dropped. Cogsworth, I think people are getting a little bit upset because into Ruby Sapphire he's pretty useless. Into Red Purple he's pretty useless. But into all your steel matchups and just any other deck, he is just insane. Any deck that's not a red deck, he's insanely good. He is still worth playing at 4x. I know people are trying to find room for other stuff, but I think you still just 4x him. I don't think there's really a debate on that right now, or none that I've seen evidence worth really taking into account. So yeah, just 4x him. But I do see people play him at 3. Gaston, it's just because I'm trying him out still. 1 is good. If I could find 2, that'd be great. Um, yeah, Rise of Titans is just a one-off because I just like to play it as a one-off now, and even so, one-offs can be one of the next things to go, really. But another one to talk about is Whole New Worlds. Yeah, so I think you either 4x or you don't play it. I'm playing a no wheel lift at my locals group right now, and it's being a lot of fun. I don't see if your deck is built around setting up 5 drops to sing Whole New World, why you'd want to go to 3 because you just lose, you sort of screw up the ratios on that. So 4x or don't. Yeah, we have them bad games where you draw like 3 Whole New Worlds and your hands brick to hell, but that's part and parcel of playing the wheel. I don't think you go less than that. And I think one last thing to cover is Dime. 2x has been the sweet spot for pretty much most of set 4, and I think that is correct, and set 3 as well. 3 feels way too much, and with Tamatoa to retrieve it, I don't think we need to go higher anyway. I have seen the Cloud Kicker versions of the deck, which I thought were worth mentioning. I think in that list, I would play 1 Dime because I think it only had 4 Quills as its ramp options. So like Dime shouldn't be one of your thoughts for how you want to win the game, especially when you're getting a 3 quester out on turn 3. I think you should just focus on questing out. I mean, I haven't played that deck much, but I don't think you should look at setting up the Dime. I think 1 would be fine in that list, and then you could use that on ink slot for something else. But yeah, that's sort of covering ratios. You'll see these sort of change as they go forward. Red purple's getting a lot more popular again. So if I do want to commit back to Rise of Titans, that might just happen, and we might go back to a few more copies of it. Vavoom, I think I'll probably go back to a 4x. I think Ruby Sapphire is kind of in a bad spot right now, and I don't see it very often, so I think 1 is fine. And the mirror, I just sort of tend to take it as it is. I think You win the mirror on consistency of SME, ramp, cogs. You don't win it on let it going a SME or something like that. So I'll let it going a Tower, which you usually finish the game before there anyway. So yeah, I think we could see some ratio changes on these, but as I say, when you're working the ratios of how many babooms you want, how many Arguses and things like that, just look and try and predict what you're playing into. If you know what the local meta is like, take that into account. If it's a regional, it's very hard to predict. Sometimes it's better to just stick to your guns and try and take the chances as you can because you've got so many groups turning up. It's like when I went to Lille, I brought green steel and I played three purple steel, which was like a matchup I just hadn't prepared for. My deck was fully built for playing into red purple. So 1 out of 9 rounds, you know. But that's how it is. So yeah, the ratios always depend on what I'm predicting the meta to be, and that's sort of the end all of this discussion.